Okay. or my face. I always want to I'm always like, oh, I need to Ricky Bobby, just put my hands down.
I do that all the time too. I'm like touching my face, doing all this other stuff. And it's like not like I'll notice I'm like on a podcast, like especially like I'm growing this like mustache thing. I'm like, that's a really weird thing to do in front of a camera, you know? So we'll tone that down a
Don't
little
think
bit.
about
Uh
it.
no. But hello and welcome everybody. We are here at the Agent 3 live stream. I am super excited. There's a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of new features to talk about, a lot of new possibilities for building with Agent that we're going to share with you today.
Yeah, just super excited to be here. Lot to cover, and yeah, I'm just excited to dive in.
Amazing. So I guess we can get started with some intros, and then we're just going to jump into it. We're going to jump into what's new. We're going to jump into some of the other polish that we've been working on, and obviously we're going to do some live demos as well.
Yeah, so I'm Francisco Cruz Mendoza. I'm the head of community here at Replit, so supporting some of our super users and great folks all across the world. And I'll pass it over to Matt.
Amazing, yeah. I'm Matt Palmer, lead developer relations. Obviously, helping you all build the best apps possible, and really excited for some demos that we're going to do today. So this live stream is broken down into 3 sections. First, we're going to talk about what's new. We're going to give an overview. So if you've been following along with the launch comms at all, we're going to go over those in a little bit more depth so you understand what's possible now on Replit. Then we're going to dig in and we're going to do some live demos. So we're going to go over some amazing applications that I've been able to build and that the team has helped me build over the past couple days, as well as talk about some new product features. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with some tips and tricks because a lot has changed. And so we want to talk about how to make the most of the new agent because it's a different way of building. And you'll see that as we go through these features. So off the bat, we're going to talk about what's new. And so you've probably seen the headline by now. There's a longer runtime for Agent. It's really impressive, up to 200 minutes. There's self-testing, the ability for Agent to check its own work. I'm going to show you some really cool demos of that. And then there's agent generation, or the ability for Agent to create agents. So if we break these 3 down, that just really means that Agent is now more autonomous. And so the first thing, let it cook. Agent is running for 200 plus minutes. And I think there was someone on the team, Francisco, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I heard about like a 6-hour agent run where they sent in something super complicated and it was just grinding and produced an output that worked in 6 hours. So no guarantees there, but I built something I'm going to show you today in 75 minutes. Test less, stress less. Agent's testing its own apps. You can see the visual outputs there. We're gonna really dig into this. And it's really fun to watch. You're basically like watching, it feels like Terminator. It's like Skynet, right? You're watching Agent interact with your apps, build out your apps, test them the same way that you would. And that means that you can focus even more on designing those applications, on building them out. And then finally, agentception, right? Like Agent is building agents. Now, everybody says the word agent. Nobody maybe knows what it is. But an agent is just, right, AI that can do stuff for you. So the Replit agent is an AI that can build apps for you. Other agents, if you hear people say agents, are just kind of like workflow automators. They're automations. You can say, oh, hey, Anthropic, hey, Claude, hey, ChatGPT, go build me this app. And an agent has access to tools to do things. So, hey, go get a list of things to do in San Francisco every Thursday and then send them to my email. Agent can help you do that today.
Going back to the 6-hour runtime, I remember, one of the things that we always talk about in tech is it has to be lighter, it has to be especially faster. So, one of the questions that comes up a lot is why is a longer runtime so much better?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, right? And so as we think about what we're building here, what we're building today, a lot of people kind of are racing maybe to the bottom. Hey, this edit needs to be instant. We're thinking about it from maybe a longer term perspective, or maybe a more, fully autonomous software developer type perspective. You don't have to worry about testing. You don't have to worry about V1. You don't have to worry about the MVP. You can send multiple steps, multiple sets of instructions, or more complex apps. Go make a coffee, go eat lunch or something, come back, and then have like a V1. So yes, fast is good, but Agent's fast. It's just doing more stuff quickly for you. And so it's essentially taking the steps you would do out of the loop and allowing you to focus on like the higher level architectures type stuff. So that's the approach that we're taking, if that makes sense.
No, and yeah, it's been cool to see. And I mean, you talked about Terminators, and I hear one-shotting a lot in the office and two-shotting. Can you explain a little bit what that is?
Yeah. So we're gonna go into that today. It's a great question. One shot just means one prompt. Two shot, two prompt. So when I talk about an app, if I say I one shot this thing, I sent one prompt to agent, and I went and did something else, and I came back, and the app was done. Or hey, I actually sent one prompt in, there was an error, I followed up with it, and then it was fixed. So if we talk about those things, that's a great question, Francisco. That's what we're referring to. So yeah, now let's dig into some tools for success. So in Agent, we have some new features, some new tools. First, you can bring your favorite accounts to Replit now. This is huge, right? So you can connect in one click, Notion, Spotify, GitHub, Linear, Outlook, a few others. We'll build some Slack automations today as well. And that's really exciting because this used to be a huge pain in the neck. Now it's easy. And this is something we released a couple weeks ago. You can now create more beautiful, consistent applications using app themes. So that allows you to customize colors, fonts, spacing, border radius, the rounding on the corners, right? All of these details about your application. That's something we're really excited about. And it ties into this whole theme of, hey, agent can do more stuff, but then you have granular control over the details. And then finally, you can build anything. Call this general agent. What that means is that, previously you were limited to a specific set of languages or sort of frameworks. Now you can build anything. And this is an example of a Next project, which is a popular framework. You can write in kind of any language. If the language runs on Replit, one of the advantages of Replit is that you can run pretty much any language. You can build with it with agents. So I've seen people refactor, like code. They've run Rust projects. They've written really complex, games on Replit.net, all this crazy stuff. I actually spoke with a PM at a company on Monday, and they said because Replit can access any repo, they're pulling in GitHub repos from their company that their engineers are working on and asking agent, hey, can you help me understand this code base? Can you help me learn, what's going on here? And it can do just that now.
Awesome. No, I'm excited to kind of see some of the connectors. It seems to gotten a lot easier. I'm lucky enough to kind of jumped in and just seen, this new simplified workflow, but have heard in the past it could get kind of tricky.
Absolutely. And anybody here that's ever gone into Google Cloud Console or like tried to create a service account key knows the pain of trying to like access the Gmail API or the YouTube API or some of this stuff. So we're launching with a set of connectors that are one click, and it was the same thing with Microsoft and a lot of these other connections. So yeah, very exciting stuff. So now I want to take a step back. We've talked about the major headline stuff, and we're going to get into some demos really soon and talk about some other improvements. So if you're just joining us on the live stream, Agent 3 launch, super exciting, fully autonomous, self-testing, able to build your own agents. Now I'm going to talk about some of the polish that we've released over the past few weeks. So deployments. This is actually brand new. I lied. One-click deployments. You publish your apps in one click from the deployments pane. Used to be confusing. There used to be confusing settings. We removed that completely. So this is huge change. Very exciting. I'm excited to show you all this. The workspace. As I start demoing things, and you might have seen this over the past couple of days, our workspace has gotten a lot simpler and a lot more user-friendly. So when you take a look at the workspace, you'll notice that we have all the tools that you need. We have what you need, and it's only there when you need it. Some outstanding design work here. So congrats to the whole team. Build modes. Now, there are two different build modes. There's plan mode and build. There's actually a visual edit mode. We'll talk about that as well. But you can kind of think about your project in different stages. Talk about this in best practices. Think about planning out your apps before you build them, or collaborating moreover with agent to come up with a task list and then sending that task list off to agent to execute on it. This is something that I've seen an outstanding reception from the community with. It seems like people love using this, and I do as well. And then finally, visual edits. So we have an all-new visual editor and theme selector. We'll talk about those, and I'll show you exactly how to enter it because it can be a little tricky to learn on the first go. So these are some of the other really amazing features that we've launched over the past few weeks that you can't skip over, and that I'm going to talk through in our live demo as well. But I think we're ready to like actually build some stuff. So let's jump over. We're going to talk about a live demo, and we're going to walk through some cool apps.
Excited. Yeah, I've seen a couple of different things that folks have been building here internally, and so it's exciting to just kind of see it, step by step.
Outstanding. So what I have here is I have a little whiteboard app. And you might notice I have 2 preview panes over. So again, this is Replit. It's running entirely in the browser. I didn't install anything. I went to replit.com. You don't have to configure a development environment. This is your building environment. And you also don't have to see any code if this is the first time you're seeing Replit. So what you might notice is now the file pane is on the right. So under the hood, this is a collaborative coding environment. There are files. There's all this stuff going on. You can dig into that if you want to debug or take it with you, but you don't have to. You can focus on agent. Agent's now on the left. And you can configure this. If you want agent back on the other side of the screen, if you're a power user and you're like, whoa, this is, I feel I'm getting vertigo, you can switch agent back over to the right, files on the left, do whatever you want. It's in these settings. But what we have here is the new interface. Agent is on the left, and I have 2 preview panes open. I built a little whiteboard. Now, the cool thing about this whiteboard is that if I take this preview over here and I say, hey, it's actually real time. So it's pretty cool, right? And we're syncing this real time across multiple sessions. So on the left, this is one completely separate session. On the right, that's one completely separate session. Now, the outstanding thing about this is maybe a complex application for an agent to build, is that Replit agent built this in 1 prompt, and it ran for 80 minutes. So I said, hey, make me this whiteboard app. We can actually go up here if we want to see that prompt. Build me a multiplayer whiteboard app, do all this stuff, and then I disappeared. And what we got was a lot of work, about 80 minutes worth of work, and a working whiteboard app. Now, there were some follow-ups, right? We wanted to polish the display. We want to polish some of this other stuff, but WebSockets, databases, account management, real-time chat, which is also available in this app, all built out one shot. So we talk about one-shot prompts. Really, really amazing stuff.
And so, just because, I'm sorry to interrupt, I remember I was a mathematics student. I've never been good at mathematics, and one of my tutors actually tried to build something like this, and very quickly realized it would take, a significant amount of time, not hours, but months and months to even hopefully get a working prototype. So it's just very, very cool to kind of see this. And you mentioned that, it had this long time as it kind of like built it all out. Do you have to be on the browser? Can you like walk away as it's kind of building?
No, and that's the amazing thing about Replit, right? So one of the big differentiators is this is not running on my laptop. This is running in the cloud. And so I kicked this off. I went, I did some other work. I hung out with the AI team who's like, sleeping in the office, building out all this stuff. I came back and it was done. So, as we're thinking about, what the AI team is doing, they're really automating my job. They're making my life a lot easier. So thank you, AI team. I really appreciate that. And the amazing thing about Replit is you don't even have to have it open. And if you download our mobile app, you'll get a notification when your app's being done built. You can also configure settings to send you a notification in the browser as well. And that's pretty cool. So you can have a little chime come through. So now what I want to talk about is how Agent was able to run for 80 minutes, right? Because you might be saying, okay, Matt, like it was running for 80 minutes. What was it doing? Like if I say I'm working for 2 hours, am I really working? Am I on my phone? Like what's going on? Well, Agent was working and it was actually testing this application out. So what I'm going to click over here, you can see, hey, Agent said I'm testing your app and sending the results back to some of our other sort of workers or collaborators on this project. They're like mini agents working on this project. I can watch this replay and blow it up. And the first thing Agent's doing here is it's opening the site. So I'm going to skip over. And what's happening here is this is a Chrome browser that Agent is running. It's running an instance of Chrome in parallel with your application. And then it's like clicking on stuff. You can see it's scanning some elements, and it's actually testing the drawing feature in this step. So it selected the pen tool, and then you get a little bit of variable playback sometimes. It drew a line. Very cool, right? So our agent is actually able to interact with the whiteboard. It's able to select tools. It's able to pick out all these things. You can see on the left, it's also sending messages. So after it drew that line, then it kind of went over and it scanned a few other things. We can actually see the playback a little bit better happening in the sidebar over here. We can make this bigger. Drew a line, changed the opacity, changed the size, drew another line, tested out our rectangle, tested out our circle. And again, this is going on in the background, right? So I'm not even in the application. Agent is scanning all these things. It's typing in text. It's undoing the testing that it did, sending a message into our real-time chat app. You actually see it comes in there, verifies that it sent the message, and then continues editing the app. Yeah,
and
so
I mean,
real time,
it's automatically happening in the background. But I'm curious, like previously, would have people have to jump in and do this themselves? I feel like it's one of the things that folks had mentioned as well.
Exactly. And so yeah, when you asked, hey, like, what's the benefit of this thing running longer? The benefit is that agent is doing the testing for you. Like previously, I'm building this thing. I have to get out of my flow state. I have to like take a break and click buttons. You know, nobody really likes clicking buttons. I don't know. There are button clicker games. I promise I don't play. Amjad, I don't play button clicker games at work. But now agent can click the buttons for you. So agent can click on the tools. Agent can draw the lines and then keep working. And so it's this loop, right, of build, self-test, iterate. There are a bunch of like other agents that agent like our bigger agent is working with. That's going to save you time. It's going to save you the testing effort, and it's going to build out your apps. So really, really outstanding stuff. And from what I'm seeing is I'm getting these apps in like one shot and two shots with one or two prompts, right? They're just more powerful than they were before. So this is the power of the new Replit agent. This is the power of some of the things that I've seen, what we're building with. So.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see what folks are come up with. Because if this is just like a one-shot app, what else is possible?
Yeah, exactly. And these are things that I've been building out over the past couple days that the team has been working on, and so I'm really excited to see as the community has like days and weeks to dig into this, what they'll be able to build. So now I'm going to talk about another app that we built out with the longer duration, and this is an app that I've built a lot. People in the office are like, "Okay, Matt, stop identifying plants." I can't help myself. I love plants, and we're going to identify some plants. So I sent here a prompt: build a plant identifier app that uses Anthropic API with JSON mode to identify a plant in an image. So we're going to upload. I got a little Monstera here. Hopefully it gets it right. We're doing live demos. And yeah, JSON mode is like hard. It's like structured output. So like if you want to conform AI to fit in a certain text box, you'll see here, we got our Monstera deliciosa, and we get like this nice little like formatted output with that JSON mode that you can see. That's something that, a lot of AI models aren't great with because they don't have the training data, because they're not aware of the most up-to-date API formats, and because it's kind of a delicate structure to build these outputs. But what we see here is that there is one prompt. I actually got an error, but I just copied and pasted the error, and that's all I sent to agent, and I got this app, and it can identify Monstera. If we want to try, we'll roll the dice here since I'm feeling lucky. We'll upload another plant photo, see what this one is. Yeah, like Francisco's mentioning, hey, this used to be really hard. Now it's really easy. Now it's one prompt. And now most of the work is actually hands off while agent is testing these things out. So we got a little fiddle leaf fig here, Ficus liriata, as well as a care guide.
I've been asking a lot about kind of like what's going on, and what's occurring during these long run times. But one of the things that I've really kind of noticed here too is it looks like a plant ID app. It has a very nice and unique feel, and maybe not some typical kind of like vibe coded sites you've seen out there. So curious, like how did that come together?
Yeah, great question. So first, the team is just making things look better. So this looks good. And that's one. I wish I could take credit, but it's mostly the team. Second, I used some good prompting practices, which is, hyper minimalist. I was using some emotional words, beautiful with, I picked a font that I like. I'm not going to try and pronounce this. And then I said a 4-screen UI. So I'm using these very descriptive words to evoke a certain emotion or output, and it came together really nicely. Now, I would recommend you do the same thing. But one of the other things that we've also been talking about is some of this new functionality with like themes, right? So we also have our new theme editor, and that's what this looks like here. And so you can define themes. So say, maybe I want it to look a little bit different. I want to select a different background or text color. I want this app to feel like one of my apps. I can change the shape and the spacing. This is also powered by TweakCN, so shout out to those folks. Really amazing software. Can look at the typography, right? Say I'm not feeling Poppins today. I'm feeling Geist. Or maybe some of these names, dude. Architect's daughter. Oh yeah, it's the architect's daughter type of day. You know what I'm saying? Say we're really going for like a hand drawn vibe. We could do that too, and then we can save this theme to our theme library. And when we go home, we're going to get a theme selector where we can pick from that theme. So, great question, Francisco. More than just prompting, we can also build out these themes now and start to think about, hey, how can I make my apps look consistent? How can I have maybe a set of themes for the things that I'm building to have the same like look and feel in my applications.
Awesome. Yeah. Internally, I've seen a lot of folks kind of just begin to kind of curate their own, vibe for their sites. And it's been really, really cool to kind of see the consistent output as they continue to build.
Outstanding. So we've talked about self-testing. We've talked about autonomy. What else are we releasing? I teased this a little bit. I teased that we were launching some app connectors. I want to show you an app that I built with these connectors. So, first prompt, hey, create a swipe left, right app like Tinder for my Outlook email. That's how locked in we are, Francisco. This is the great lock-in. I am not swiping Tinder. I'm swiping email. I don't know how to say it. This is just, that's the type of culture that we have here. Really, it's just, we're just focused on shareholder value. So I built my app here and I said, hey, you should connect my Outlook app with the Replit app connector. And it threw a little prompt here when I was chatting, connected to Outlook. Since it's like one click, I get this app, and you can see my colleague Andrew here he needs to borrow a llama. So I don't know what's going on there, but we're going to delete that. Sorry, Andrew. And another friend of mine, Zaid, he's noticing that in another universe, my name is Palm Tree, so we'll archive that. So building these apps has been really easy. It's been really fun, and it's really simple with these app connectors. So what I'll show you here is the connectors overview page. If you go to our integrations, you can see now this different connectors, right? And so you can connect OneDrive, you can connect Spotify, Notion, GitHub, Linear. We'll talk more about these Slack agents, as well as a few other services. And you can go in and manage this proactively and add your connections. It's just like a one-screen pop-up that you can click on. Like if I click sign in here, I'll get this nice little pop-up, and then I could connect to one of these services. Couple clicks, you're all good to go. And then when you're building with these apps in the product, you get a little pop-up from agent that says, do you want me to do this? Are you sure you want to connect this? You just say yes, it ties in your account. And just like that, right? You have access to all these accounts, all these services, and then you can start building really cool stuff on top of it. That's the most powerful part. The infrastructure is there, and then we're building amazing apps on top of that.
I know previously, so I've been very lucky enough to kind of join in and start playing with the tool when this has already been built out, and it's been so seamless for me. But what was the process like previously before this?
Yeah. So for those of you just joining us, right, this is the Agent 3 live stream. We're talking about the latest and greatest in Replit, and we're talking about app connectors. So now you can connect like a ton of different services to your Replit account and then just build apps on top of them. And we're going to talk about implications of that in a second. So the process before, if anybody here has gone through the pain and suffering of looking at the Google Cloud, like Service Console or creating a service key, like you're like, oh, hey, I want to automate my email. I need to jump into this hyper-specific developer tool that, is the design is insane, right? Like there are memes about the design of some of these platforms, and it's really hard and really difficult to get started with. Now it's one click. And so the reason we didn't see any of these apps, the reason we don't see a bunch of cool email apps is because it's really hard to connect to your email. It's like kind of gated to devs only, and that's a shame. And so we're democratizing that. It's easier to connect to those things now with Replit. So yeah, the experience is completely different, Francisco. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Excited to see where it goes next. And a lot of more connectors coming soon.
Yeah, a lot more connectors coming soon. We're going to keep releasing those over the coming weeks. But speaking of connectors, connection is the first part. The second part is actually building automations on top of those connections if you have these accounts connected. So we're launching agents and automations. So not only can agent create agents, it can also create automations. And so what you're going to see on the right, it looks like a workflow, right? This is like, several steps that are being executed in sequence. This is powered by our amazing friends at Mastra, great agentic framework for building cool stuff. And what I built here is like a little automation. It's going to run every Thursday. So when you go over to publish, right, I'll be able to select a description. Maybe I say every Friday, and then you can just one-click publish this. This one's gonna run every Thursday, and it's going to validate an environment, get all set up, fetch some events from a site called Luma, which has really great events, so I can know what's going on in San Francisco. I don't get invited to many events, so I really have to seek them out. It's really about being proactive, or so they tell me. Anyway, we're going to get those Luma events, and then we're going to send an email to my email account with the latest and greatest happenings in the city of San Francisco. And as you might expect, we only go to tech events here because we are, in fact, locked in. So I get a nice little tech event digest with some interesting, exciting upcoming events. And so agents and automations, now we're building out these essentially workflows. building out anything that you can imagine with these sub agents. And so, Monster is a really cool framework. It allows you to build agents. And so I can use ChatGPT. I could like fetch, the events on my calendar. I could automate things, send them to Slack. We're going to talk about Slack next because we have some exciting things around Slack automations as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think maybe, Matt, if you're having to use agents to socialize, there might be something else going on there. So hopefully this will help kind of get you out there a little bit more.
Well, we're doing our best, and this is why I work in AI, because I can always talk. ChatGPT is always on, so thanks.
Always there
OpenAI.
for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right, we're talking about these automations. We're talking about connectors. There's some like exciting stuff going on here. I feel like the final piece to that is interacting with it, and that's why I want to talk about our new Slack connections as a part of this agents and automations framework. You can build things and then just push them to Slack like instantly. So if you've ever built anything on Slack, it's really hard. So I built this little research agent. It uses Exa, which is a search service. And so I said, I set up here, hey, Amjad Masad Replit. I don't know who that guy is, but it gave me a little background on him. So you can imagine being in Slack, right? You got a meeting coming up. You're like, oh no, I need to research who this person is. I need some talking points. Hey, Facebook Code Academy. Now he's now at Replit. That's pretty cool. These people are pretty cool too. They might be watching this. Hi, Ferris. And it's outstanding because, I built this in just a couple prompts, and now I can test it in my browser, right? Like testing is always really hard for these Slack apps. But then even harder than that is like connecting, getting visibility into like exactly what's going on. And so our publish flow for this is, again, really simple. Like I'm going to connect to Slack here, and you're going to see this like very simple automated flow where you can just like paste in a token, go through maybe 1 or 2 steps, get that token back, and authenticate to Slack without having to create an app, without having to do any of the TDM. And then just deploy this directly to Slack or Telegram or some of the other destinations that we'll have out soon. So really powerful stuff. Again, like even this, what I have in front of me, this research agent, would have taken probably a day, and it would have taken a day because I'm building the Slack app, I'm connecting to Slack, I'm understanding all the nuances of the Slack API, going through all this setup and config work, and then actually trying to understand Monster, or the agent framework that I'm using, even if it's simple. Like these building blocks are already there with Replit, and we're just connecting them together for you.
Yeah, and even the publishing flow, I think, has improved dramatically. I remember when I first joined the team, it was one of the things where I was building something out. I got super close. I got to the end. I got to the publish, perspective of it, and it just like kind of froze up a little bit. So it's been great to see.
Outstanding. Yeah. Again, something we've been pushing for quite a long time. And so that's kind of been an overview. Like we just talked about all the new features. We talked about some of these amazing flows and apps that we've been able to build. What's new in Agent. Now I want to spend a little bit of time and talk about like ways that you can apply these. So some tips and tricks. Like what does all this mean? How are we going to build better stuff? Educationally, like if you're just joining the live stream, right? We're talking about Agent 3. Longer run times, more testing, better autonomy, the ability to build agents and automations, workflow optimization. This could be a replacement for workflow automation tools in the very near future, if not already. So you should start thinking about that. We're going to talk about that in our tips and tricks as well. So what are some tips and tricks? Hands off. I'm saying hands off. Longer runs mean that you can specify more upfront. And so, a lot of people ask me for prompting advice. They say, hey, Matt, like, what do I prompt? How do I think about this? My advice has always been break it down into the simplest, smallest components possible and build out an MVP. And now I'm like kind of walking that back a little bit, honestly. Now I'm saying like, hey, you could think a couple steps in advance, right? You could think a couple features in advance. You can think more about like a mini app that actually works, because Agent's going to test it and get you past that MVP point. So like if you think about the history of like building, right? If you think about the history of building with AI, it's been like, oh, I have tab autocomplete. That's like a sentence. And then I have a function. I can write a function with AI. And now Agent comes out and I can write an app or a file. We had artifacts first, and then we have apps. So tab, function, artifact, full application. Now we're like one step further. It's like I can build beyond that MVP of the application with Replit Agent. And so it's that progress where I'm now like, oh, okay. You can actually like spend some time, if you spend some time planning stuff out, you can be a little bit more hands off and like kind of let Agent take the wheel, so to speak, and get past that MVP, and then think more about like higher level planning type stuff, right?
It's been really cool to kind of just see how much is possible now. And it seems like you can also be more descriptive, right? You can kind of mention some of the connectors or other services you're going to be implementing into it, and it's able to understand what's going on.
100%, right? So I say this all the time. It's actually not a part of the tips and tricks. Maybe it should be. Um, know your tools, right? Like these features that I'm talking about, like if you don't know it exists, you can't use it. If you don't prompt, this is a lot of the confusion I see with people is they're like, oh, well, like, how did you know that? Actually, I knew some of these things just by using the tools a lot, by learning about them, and then by like repeatedly trying and like failing. I fail all the time. I think part of engineering is just breaking things and failing and learning from that and getting that experience. So absolutely, totally agree there. So maybe next tip and trick is that again, we're gonna have to change how we think here a little bit. Start thinking about automation. Don't just think about web apps, because for the first time, Replit builds more than just apps. It builds automation and agents using Mostra, using these frameworks. And so, if you're in the mindset of, oh, I'm going to build a web app that does this thing, well, could you build a cron job that does it as well? Could you build, is this more of like something that you want running in the background? Is this something you want running in Slack or in Telegram or based on some event, right? So the other thing we didn't give you an example of, but these can be triggered by events. So say you were like, oh, before every meeting I have in my Outlook calendar, 20 minutes before that meeting, I want to kick off a research agent. I showed you a research agent, and that agent will take the person from that meeting, go do a web search on their background, and send me a Slack message. That's like very much in the scope of Agent 3. So you should start thinking about building things like that. That's complicated, but it's using app connectors. It's using the ability that you can connect to something really fast. And these agents and automations that we have for really robust workflow automations. And that's a huge kind of point that we're driving home with this launch.
Absolutely. And I think it's for anyone that's maybe tried to sort of like, maybe some vibe coding previously and kind of got stuck. Now is a perfect time to kind of jump back in and, try to build these things out. As a community builder, I often have to do all sorts of automations that typically I've done manually for over a decade. And I've been blown away by how much I can kind of just automate as I go, especially with these connectors and Slack specifically.
Exactly. And, something we were talking about before the live stream, Francisco was like, what does this mean? And I appreciate this about Francisco. He's always thinking about the community and thinking about, folks who are new to building and vibe coding. He's like, what does this mean for people who are just getting started? Like, hey, is this thing for me? This thing is now very much for you. Yes, I think now maybe more than ever. Like the tools are better. You can build more stuff. You can build more stuff easier. And so if you're the type of person where you're like, oh, I had this great idea for an app, but I got hung up on connecting my account. I got hung up on the setup, on like the infrastructure stuff. Well, you have to worry about that less. An agent can test those things out for you. It can get past some of those hurdles. And every day I think about like, who can build stuff, right? The barrier used to be up here. It was like engineers, right? And then it was like down here. It was like maybe people like me. I don't know. And then it fell even further, and it's like semi-technical builders, and it's falling every day towards really anybody, and that's what we're trying to drive home here. So I really would encourage you just to give it a shot or give it a try. Now is the best time to try, and it only gets better day by day. So think automation, and then finally, what is my other tip here? Plan and build. So now we have that plan mode that I talked about a little bit. It's in the bottom next to chat. You can toggle between plan mode. And when you go into plan mode, you can chat with agent about your work. And what you'll get is this nice little task list. And you can modify this task list. You can delete elements. You can chat back and forth with agent to collaborate on what you want to build. And then you can click start building. And agent's going to take that and go off and just like do amazing stuff. It's going to build your app out for you. So we're moving with this longer duration more towards a model where you're acting as really, truly a manager, a builder, a planner. An agent is doing the work. So we're encouraging you with plan mode to think more about that. Use it as a design partner. One of my friends got a message on X. He's building a startup and he's like, hey, I've been using plan mode. Agent's my design partner now. Plan mode, design partner. I'm chatting back and forth with agent. I'm planning out the stuff I want to go build. And I'm just clicking start building and I'm disappearing, coming back when it's done. And that's been really powerful. So start thinking about plan mode. That's my other tip.
Awesome. Yeah. Already seeing folks just kind of some of our early beta users as one of their favorite features, just because so much can be planned in advance. And again, going back to that one shot, being able to kind of get something from start to finish in one go.
Yep. And so those are my tips. Now I think we saved some time. We've been streaming for a while. Again, if you're just joining us, we're at the Agent 3 live stream. We talked about all kinds of really cool stuff. We talked about autonomy, we talked about self-testing, we talked about building with app connectors. I'd encourage you to go check earlier parts of the stream, learn a little bit more about that. Now we're going to talk about what's next. So Francisco and I are going to chat a little bit more about what you can expect. We're going to talk about what's coming up soon in the Replit launch calendar and all the exciting things we're building.
No, absolutely. So, working with the community a lot, I think we built out this small, tiny little community program with some of our most active users around the world. And I've talked a lot and asked a lot about kind of, folks that are maybe trying it for the first time and how can they kind of get started. On the flip side, I'm curious, what are some of like the, features or advancements you're excited for our power users to kind of start playing with, the Renees and the Raymars of the world?
Yeah. So, we have so many super passionate power users. That's something I'm definitely grateful for. And all of these things that I shared with you, I've built, really in the past week, the past few days. Like my job is to show you what's possible. And so I try to lay the foundation. But the thing that you all bring to the table, that every member of ours is, that's unique about them, is that you are you, right? You have your own lived experiences, your background, your product knowledge, your domain knowledge, the things that you nerd out about, the things that you're interested in. And so I really can't wait to see where those passions lead you, right? Where will your passion for botany or something take you? What will you create? What kind of crazy creation will you build that allows you to automate your, I don't know, your flower store or something, or your very specific passion or hobby? And those are things that I haven't had the time to explore, and things that I think you all will. And you all have, very different creative ways of doing things. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the community builds, Francisco.
No, great. Yeah, I'm very much looking to kind of showcase some of those in the next coming weeks. So that'll be awesome. And you talked a lot about prompts earlier, and I know you have kind of like a general framework. I get this question a lot, like what are some of the better ways to really kind of organize your thoughts as you begin to build? Any advice there?
Yeah, so I'm a big proponent of thinking about what you want to build, and I think maybe it comes a little bit easier to engineers or PM types. But you really have to break down the problems before you start building. And so I think about it like, kind of a clear framework, concise, logical, explicit, right? We're thinking about distilling down our ideas, adaptive, reflexive. We're reflecting on the responses that we get from AI. But more than that, right? Think about what you want to build. So I was at a hackathon Monday. I was talking to a lot of people, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I want to build this app where I send a prompt, and it evaluates some things, and it goes and tests this web page from me, and then it returns the results." Well, what does that mean? What is your app doing truly? And your job, it's going to be less of your job, especially with these longer run times. But your job is to look at that and say, "Oh, so I want my app to go out and fetch a website. That means that it needs to be able to access that website somehow. How do people access websites? Is there a command I could run? How do computers access websites? And then it has to summarize that stuff. Well, how do we summarize things? We use AI, but what type of AI? Do I have an opinion on the model that I use? Do I have an opinion on the framework that I use to build this thing? Should it fit into Replit's automations? Is this an automation? Do I want it sent to my email, or do I want a web app that anybody can use? So as you're thinking through these ideas, you have to conceptualize frameworks and categories and tools and really break the problem down. So for that problem, I'd be like, oh, well, actually, I just want to fetch the HTML. I want to use ChatGPT. I want to use OpenAI, and I want to summarize this HTML, look for a certain word, maybe convert some sort of search expression into natural language, help me extract data. And yeah, my general advice there is really think logically, break down problems. It's the same thing with debugging. My app's broken. Why? Why is your app broken? Do you understand how it works? Do you understand what's going on behind the scenes, and can you walk through it step by step? Agent's starting to do that, so maybe you won't need to in the future. But there's still parts where you'll need to debug.
Awesome. Yeah, great advice for folks. Again, just getting started, I think can just kind of get you in the framework of where you need to be and how you need to kind of think these things out. I have two final questions. Second to last here is, what are you most excited about the future? I mean, obviously we just announced all these amazing things that are coming out now and rolling out to our users, but what comes next?
Yeah, I mean, I talked a little bit about it. I think, the saying is, now is the worst these models will ever be. Now is the worst these tools will ever be. All of the things that I built for you today, I built very quickly, just to get them out the door and to show them to you on launch day. And so if you spend some time and build some other stuff, and think and be creative, you're going to build some more amazing things. But what that means is that in the future, this is going to be 10x better. So just think everything I'm showing you today in Replit, what happens when it's 5x, 10x better we got some really talented engineers. I talk to them every day. I feel like I bother them a little too much every day. They're probably like annoyed. They're watching the live stream. They're like, yeah, Matt's saying he bothers us is for real. Like, leave us alone. But the thing is that they're, number one, just grinding, and number two, continuously improving the product. So this will be 5 times better. And when it is, what does that look like? Well, maybe it looks like natural language. Hey, I get this email every week and I have to go in the email and copy and paste this thing into this expense software and download this other thing and then upload it and send it to my friend. I just grab that to Replit Agent. I connect a few accounts. Boom, it's done. I have that app. That flow's automated. Now I can spend more time making dumb jokes on live streams instead of doing my actual work. That is what we're going towards, Francisco. We're going towards a world where I can spend more time making jokes and less time uploading expense reports. So,
Lovely.
I mean, the main idea is there. That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited because I think there'll be automations like that. And then I think there'll be entire websites and apps where you're like, I have this idea for a business. It's a really good idea. And you just don't know how to express it. You don't know how to get that idea out. You won't need to be a software creator to build out an entire business or more complex application. That just gets me really excited.
Awesome. And I mean, you mentioned bothering grinding engineers. This is like, joined the team recently. I've been so impressed by just like how much care and just how much detail goes into everything that, folks are building here on the Replit team. The past month has been very interesting, making sure that everything is where it needs to be for today. Any story or fun thing that happened within that month you'd like to share out with our community?
Oh, man. It's just been a whirlwind, from a couple weeks ago, we all went on a team offsite down outside LA. Really got to bond with my teammates, got to, like play spike ball on the beach, but also just like work a lot and get out some cool demos. And then really like the last couple weeks, we've just been kind of hunkered down in the office at all hours, grinding. So you see some things, like I'm an early riser. I come in here to record this video with Francisco to get set up. And, the entire AI team is here. Like people are sleeping on the couch. It's wild. I've never seen that before. This is like, the whole team is just like working around the clock. And so there's really like this palatable energy to be incredibly cliche. It's a vibe, there's a vibe in the office of getting stuff done and shipping really, really amazing things. So yeah, I guess, people pulling all-nighters to make sure Agent 3 is ready for the world is probably my top story. But I'm going to turn that around. Francisco, have you seen anything? You're relatively new. What is your take?
Yeah, no, it's very, very similar. I've been in a lot of different startups, but the absolute dedication is second to none. I keep trying to go in different rooms and people are popping out, after taking a small nap. So it's been absolutely incredible just to see, again, just how much people value engineering here and just how much people are always listening to feedback, trying to improve and quickly kind of turn around, different updates. Victor had submitted some requests about making sure that when, agent is building or you're getting a notification on your phone, you're able to even to track multiple projects. And then I sent it in for feedback. And then within like a day or two, it was like updated and the community was just so excited. So extremely, extremely just in awe of the engineering team here.
Yeah, outstanding stuff. And I'll say it, again, for anybody that's just joining us or that's stuck around this long, if you have things that you want to see, if there are bugs, if there's stuff that's wrong, if there are things that could be improved, send me a message. I keep an eye on my DMs. Reach out to Francisco. If you want to get more involved, if you want to build out templates, if you want to be an ambassador, if you're like passionate, like we love passionate people. We would love to help amplify your story, to help tell your story. So yeah, by all means, please reach out. I would be happy to connect you. Francisco is doing a stellar job with the community thus far. So I'm excited to see where that goes as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So anyone that's interested in kind of building with us or getting some earlier access, if you're already kind of supporting other users, was one of our big kind of values is for folks in the community that are already helping others as they kind of build together. Let me know. I'm on Twitter. I'm everywhere. And if I haven't reached out to you yet, I probably will be soon. But yeah, those are all the questions from my end, Matt.
Amazing. Yeah. So, I mean, all that's really left, I think, is to say thank you. And so, yeah, from myself, from the entire Replit team, thank you all, our users. It's like none of this would be possible without you. Everything that's been built, everything that we've done has been for you. And personally, what gets me excited, gets me out of bed every day is to go in and like help people. And so I know the entire team feels the same way. Thank you all for sticking around, for following us as we're launching these new products, innovating on building with AI. It means so much to the entire team. So I mean that really sincerely.
Completely agree. And yeah, I'll be here supporting the community however I can. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be showcasing some of the folks that are just building incredible things and some of our members that are up to, new ways to kind of innovate. So keep an eye out for that. And you'll see a lot more programming from our end as well. So different ways to kind of interact with the team and just engage with others and folks locally. You'll kind of actually see the team around the world very, very soon. So hopefully to see you, in person very soon.
Outstanding. Yeah, I think that's all we got. On my side, really appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, this has been Agent 3 live stream, brand new features, autonomy, self-testing, longer runs, agents and connectors, all of the stuff. Go back and watch the live stream if you're just tuning in towards the end. But from all of us at Replit, thanks again. I'm Matt. Until next time.
Francisco.